What can Brown do for you? As the Chicago Bears says, we'll introduce you to their new offensive coordinator as they get ready to take on the Green Bay Packers in the big NFC North showdown on the lakefront on Sunday. In basketball, the Bulls did something that no one thought they would do. Win a game at MSG. Yay! In baseball, Gary Crochet wins AL Comeback Player of the Year, or his day's number on the South Side. And we'll get into the new CHSN mess. By each day, it gets uglier, and uglier. We'll get into that. And our girl, Miss Christine the Queen Manika, returns for our weekly NFL picks. That and a whole lot more. It's the hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports starts right now. Welcome to another fun-filled hashtag Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Lakina McGee is she. Sydney Brown, you know that's me. You can follow yours surely on the Twitter, X, and the IG at CK80. Once again, it's CK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow my Lakina McGee on the Twitter, X, again, IG.
Be sure to download the Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Please follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinion during our 2-hour extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. But you decide to troll and or do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I've given Lakina full powers to give you dumbos to build and be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, we must remind you, once the issues are fixed, you get Sports Zone Chicago's programming live and in living color on Roku TV. If you have a Roku television, just tap on the Sports Photo and download that Sports Zone Chicago app. If you don't have a Roku television, but you have some handheld devices laying around, just head over to the Google Play Store, download the Roku TV app, and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue once the issues are fixed. So no more excuses. Celebrate the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago will be available on Roku TV once the issues are fixed.
Anytime, anywhere, once the issues are fixed.
And you know we will provide.
And we'll be buying you some of the best here on Second City Sports as we're midway through the month. Of course, we'll preview Week 12 of college football, a little bit of college hoops in between. The Bulls have a mixed week. They faced the Cavs for the in-season tournament, but they did something they haven't done in a while. They won at MSG. The rest of the NBA action as well. Our girl Christine Manika from KXRB will join us for our Week 11 pick'ems from the NFL. And unfortunately, she's going to be a little bit disappointed. She won't be seeing Bronny James coming to Sioux Falls anytime soon. And of course, our MLB postseason awards and a whole lot more. But first, the weirdness of the Chicago Bears. The Packers, they've lost 10 straight against them. It's going to be on Fox. You got the number one team coming in, Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi. And with all this that's been going on, behind the scenes, whether or not somebody said something about, mentioning Tyson Bagent and blah, 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 and, et cetera, et cetera. Thomas Brown takes over. Of course, he also comes from that Sean McVay tree, of course. It's basically going to be the same plays. He might mix things up a little bit. Sid, do you think there could be a little bit, but he could provide a little bit of sparks to that Bears offense?
I think initially he will because the players wanted this change. We heard the stories and the rumblings for the last 3 weeks. So I think they'll come out on fire for the first few minutes of the game. The question is, what will the Bears do about it once the emotion wears off after the first 10, 15 minutes of the game? Here's the thing about this Bears team. Will the offense all of a sudden get fixed overnight? No. Will Caleb Williams return to that player he was during a 3-game winning streak? You hope so, but I don't expect him to come out like her Warner, throw 3 to 4 touchdowns, or throw a pick that really doesn't mean anything at the end of the day. Would it be nice, especially against those trash ass Packers? Yes, but you got to get back to basis if you're the Bears offense and regain that trust within one another, regain the trust with the fans because of the way you played over the last few weeks. Now, on the flip side, which I know we will get into in a minute, on the flip side, defensively, there's a whole bunch of injuries that you could barely count on the offensive side of the ball too, but defensively, it's going to be a huge loss since Jaquan Brisker has been placed on IR. You know, with Jordan Love at quarterback for the Packers, with them having last week off, you know they're going to try to pick the Bears apart in the passing game. I know Jordan Love's been struggling here, throwing interceptions here and there, but he's a good enough quarterback that he's going to figure. If he sees a weakness here, he's going to figure you out fast.
Well, I think that's the thing about this goes makes it tough for the Bears is that you're facing a team that's coming off a bye.
Mm-hmm.
Guys have been banged. Guys healing up. And Jordan Love's had struggles those last couple games before the bye. So you got that he wants to try to redeem himself a little bit. Also, too, you got Josh Jacobs. I mean, that run defense for the Bears has been awful. And let's be honest. And I think, it looks like Montez Sweat will be back, which should definitely help. But again, that run defense for the Bears hasn't been very good. So if you're Matt LaFleur and you see you see a little bit of intricacies, for me to say about the Bears defense, you would be that way you have to depend on left to throw the ball as much. You let Josh Jacobs just do his thing and start running. So I think for me, I think this whole thing with that Bears a team itself, I mean, with all the turmoil and such, I mean, those 2-3 players, allegedly, I have a couple in mind. We talked about it in our group chat with our Christine Manika from KXRB. She's joins us later on the show. I just don't, and we talked about the scheduling for all the rest of the season, and I know some people say, could they win a couple? Maybe, could they go 0-8? Yeah, probably. I would bet on them going there and not go 4-4. So I think for me, look, this Bears team, they're showing you who they've always been. This is not different. It's just that people are starting to see, the kind of player Caleb is. They're seeing the little holes in some of that offensive line. We'll see if Darnell Wright, I know he was limited the last couple of days. We'll see how he practices today, if he's going to play this Sunday. So it's really a lot of question marks for the Bears. I just don't think they will have the answer to it right now.
You're listening to Second City Sports Zone Chicago on the hashtag Football Friday edition. Sid Lakina here with you as we get you set for this Sunday's matchup on the lakefront between the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. Packers are 6-3. Bears are 4-5. Let's dive into the numbers. Lakina, take a look at the rankings for both these teams. For offense, the Bears are ranked second from last in the NFL, while the Packers are ranked number 7. Defense, total defense, Bears number 11, Packers number 9. Passing, the Bears second from last, Packers number 11. And in rushing, the Bears are 25th, while the Packers rank 5th. Lakina, with those statistics, it glares out to me, quite frankly, what this game is going to come down to. It's going to come down to running the football, and it's going to come down to stopping and running and creating turnovers. Lakina, we talked about this Packers team all year. Defensively, they weren't as quote-unquote hot as many people thought, and with good reason. But this is an opportunistic defense, and the way that Caleb Williams has been playing over the last 3 weeks, the Packers, the number of interceptions they already had last year, they almost doubled that total now this year. So the Packers, even though that team doesn't scare you on paper, they could take the ball away. And as far as running the football, they picked up Josh Jacobs via trade this offseason. They waved bye-bye to Aaron Jones. Josh Jacobs has been a godsend, no pun intended, for the Green Bay Packers running game. And let's not forget, too, the Packers have a bunch of good weapons on offense. Christian Watson, I know he's been injured off and on all year. He's good. Romeo Doubs has been there all year. And Jaden Reed, who wears jersey number 11, he's also that big play guy as well. So we talked about that Bears secondary being banged up a little bit. Jaquan Brisker being gone for the foreseeable future. That task of stopping that Packers offense is going to be that much tougher now.
Yeah, it really is, and I know I'm sure they're probably licking their chops, seeing this, especially after what happened, to the Patriots when they played them. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see like how they kind of respond to that. I know that do they run the ball right away or do they do the passing thing and perhaps keep Caleb Williams and the Bears off the field? Now, as far as the defense are concerned, Jair Alexander, I know he's been a little bit banged up the last couple of games, but he should be good to go on Sunday. And he loves playing the Bears too. I think he has like one interception in like the last 4 games he's played with the Packers against the Bears. So you don't think he's probably looking forward to playing Caleb Williams in that group with Sean Gary? I know he had a couple of sacks. I know he sacked Justin Fields a couple of times. During that last game of the season last year. So yeah, I think not a lot of big names. You got a lot of young guys. Other than the 2 guys I mentioned, Quay Walker is a solid linebacker. I know Kenny Clark is a good D tackle. Von Ness is a really good defensive end. So yeah, not a lot of big names, but they're, like you said, they're very opportunistic. So this is sort of the kind of defense where like this is going to be a big test for Caleb Williams because like I said, they make Darnell Wright will give a little bit of help if he's able to play. But yeah, that offense for the Bears, you can change the scheme, change where it calls the plays all you want, but if your O-line, if you don't have the personnel to pull off those little plays, you might as well just forget it.
Going back, I know we have a couple of minutes left before we break, but going back to the offensive game, you talk about that offensive line. Tevin Jenkins is dinged up. I don't know if he's going to play. You cut Nate Davis, who it was another big wasted signing, no pun intended, by GM Ryan Pauls. I'm sure we get on into it later on, into that later on in the program. But your offensive line is a turnstile right now. And me and you could, if we had 200 extra pounds on us, we could play on the offensive line for the Chicago Bears. But is whoever's in there on Sunday is going to be key for them to establish a run blocking game because this team still needs to run the ball with some consistency. DeAndre Swift is the guy to do it. I know that many people wanted to throw him under the bus after the first couple of weeks, but we all know why, because of the awful play calling of now ex-coordinator Shane Waldron. But the Bears need to establish a tempo, establish the run, especially early, to give themselves a chance. And on defense, get to Jordan Love. He can scramble now, so he's not the easiest quarterback to bring down. Yes, he has a groin injury, but he can still move around the pocket and make some plays as well. And one more weapon to pay attention to for Green Bay, not Robert Kraft, but that tight end Kraft, not Robert Kraft, but my brain is skipping on me today, but he's a big target for the
Tucker Kraft. I think that's who you're talking about.
Tucker Kraft, thank you, not Robert Kraft. I know it wasn't Robert Kraft. Tucker Kraft, thank you. Shout out to you, Brandon. Thanks for tuning in. Tucker Kraft, he's a big play tight end. Something that Green Bay does consistently that the Bears do not do is use their tight end. That's another element that I'm watching for this Sunday too. Will they use Cole Kmet in the passing game to be that protection blanket for Caleb Williams? They started to do that during that 3-game winning streak, but they went away from him for the last 3 weeks, and you see what's happening now.
All right, so yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. We'll probably talk a little bit more of this game on the other side of this break, but we gotta take a break. Of course, we'll also talk Bulls, the NBA. The Bulls will be playing their first game in the NBA Cup. They face the Cavs again. They played them tough, but weren't able to pull it out. Now they did beat the Knicks at MSG, something they haven't done in a while, and some other stuff going on in the NBA. As LeBron said, that this could be it for him. Maybe this season.
I heard that before.
Yeah, I'll say we've heard that about 4 or 5 times a year. So a season lasts 3 years, but I digress. That and a whole lot more coming next to Keita McGee, Brown Second City Sports. Sports of Chicago. We go from the gridiron to the cloud court coming up after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver. I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov, a public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports. We're live in the living color on the hashtag Football Friday edition right here on Sports Soul Chicago. Sid the Kid is me. Lakina McGee is she. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Keenan McGee on the Twitter, Keenan McGee on the IG.
We have less than 85 minutes left or so in this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments regarding the Bears-Packers matchup on Sunday or the Bulls in the NBA, we will dive into in just a moment. You can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Again, we'll get them up on the screen for you.
Let's go into that. The Bulls. We got mixed bag for the Bulls, I would say. They played tough against the Cavs, but they ended up losing in the end. Now they did do something that they haven't done in a while. They beat the Knicks at MSG. They had a 20-point lead, and of course, the Knicks came back. It was back and forth a little bit, but Kobe White shooting 3 free throws after being fouled with just a few seconds left. Brunson had a chance to win it, but missed a shot. So Bulls go 1-1 this week. They face the Cavs in the in-season NBA Cup. We'll talk about that. Some of the games that happened on Tuesday in a second. But so, what do you think? I mean, it was definitely. I guess it's going to be a theme with the Bulls all season long. I mean, either going to have to come back or they're going to have to hang on after giving the big lead. So this is sort of like, again, this is going to probably be par for the course for the Bulls this year. I mean, they're 5-7 as we're recording. Is of course, Zach had 31. Kobe White included the free throws that sealed it. 22, 19, and 11 for Vooch, and 18 for P. Will. So a nice, good, solid win to kind of hang on and whatnot. And of course, Io had 16 off the bench for the Bulls as well. So what do you think about the Bulls this week?
Let me ask you that question about that last play before I give you my thoughts. Did you think it was a foul on Josh Hart on that last possession for the Chicago Bulls where Kobe White sinked those, which turned out to be the game-winning free throws? Did you think it was a foul on that play? I found it very difficult watching the replay from both stations, from MSG and, of course, CHSN here in Chicago. We'll get more on them later. But I saw it from all angles. And, yes, Kobe White, you could say that he did a great acting job, when that ball was released. But me personally, just being biased here, even though I am a Bulls fan, I didn't think it was a foul. That's just me.
I think he might have just nicked his arm a little bit. That might have been why, like you said, it might have been a part, just nicked his arm, a part of good, like, acting job on Kobe's part. So, that might have, he like a nice little acting cell there by him. But, look, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to get those fouls called on you. So, but yeah, I mean, I think, but yeah, but to his credit, though, I mean, he sent the 3 free throws. So, they got the win, so that's the important thing after blowing a 20-point lead. Now they face the Cavs again. Like I said, they saved the Cavs for a little bit. They were competitive, but they weren't able to pull it out. So this is for the in-season tournament. So this is going to be interesting to see how their court. I saw a little bit of how the Cavs court looks. So it actually looked pretty good. We'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, I mean, I think this is probably what you're gonna get for the Bulls all season long. It's gonna be back and forth. You're gonna have, blow big leads. You're probably going to have to come back from, digging themselves into a hole. So this is not really a big surprise for the Bulls. But yeah, look, you did what you got the win in MSG. Like I said, going to Cleveland, playing the Cavs, for the second time this week. So take the win and go and just because the Knicks have their struggles all season long. Not even just that Bulls game. So. I kind of teased our buddy Ryan Field from ABC7 New York. We're like, well, hey, sorry about that. Sorry about that Kobe foul. But yeah, I mean, look, you did what they did what they had to do, and they were able to hang on. They got the win. So it's all you can ask for.
Yeah. A couple other observations outside of that foul call on Josh Hart. Kobe White, he did struggle shooting from the field, especially 2 of 9 for 3-point range. I said this all year, and I'll say it again here. When Kobe White's struggling shooting from the outside, take that ball to the rack. He's been doing that all year, and he did that. He did that once again on Wednesday. You mentioned about the numbers of Zach LaVine, but I want to talk about Patrick Williams. I expect him to get 20 and 10, 20 points, 10 rebounds. It looks like that's not going to happen, but at least you could give me a double-double. And he did just that with scoring 18 points and grabbing 6 rebounds. So he's been more aggressive, especially in the paint on the offensive end these last couple of games. So I'm really proud of him for that. Hopefully he can stay consistent and he can keep his confidence up. Now, as far as the bench is concerned, Ayo Dosunmu was the only guy that scored in double digits off the bench. He had 16 points. Josh Giddey, he only had 5 points. He's been struggling here as he's trying to find himself. But I want to see him be more aggressive. Vooch, you know what you're going to get out of him. He had 19 points. He struggled shooting from the outside, but you know what you're going to get from him. But as we talked about all year, Lakina, looks like it's going to be the theme all year. Defense, can they? I don't expect them to turn to the old Bulls 90s championship teams. I don't expect them to be the old Detroit Pistons teams of the 80s and early 90s that being strict defensively. But can you play just enough defense consistently from the first quarter through the fourth quarter to give yourselves a chance to win? Now, that Cleveland game, they were right there. They just couldn't make enough big plays. The Cleveland has enough playmakers, including Donovan Mitchell, which who came through down the stretch on Monday. But the Bulls stuck together. And and you mentioned they stuck together, and Jalen Brunson shot Lakina when he left his hand. I don't know why Patrick Williams was guarding him, but I know it's a moot point now. But when Jalen Brunson released that ball, I thought it was going in, to be honest with you. I thought it was going in. Everybody in the arena thought so too. And if you saw Zach LaVine's post-game interview with Casey Johnson on CHSN, he said the same thing. As soon as he released that ball, I turned my head. But after he heard the crowd moan, he was like, "Yeah, we won, we won." So, but speaking of the Knicks, just for a second, Lakina, I know they're at 500, under 500 right now at 5-6. But as we said prior to the start of the season, it's going to take some time to figure some things out. They have some injuries right now. I know Jalen Brunson was hurt in a previous game before Wednesday's game against Chicago. Karl-Anthony Towns, who scored 46 points, looks like he's starting to come into his own a little bit. So Tom Thibodeau, he still has some work to do, but I think the Knicks will be fine. But as far as the Bulls are concerned, they have more work to do now. The Knicks have a little bit more time to figure themselves out. The Bulls still trying to establish an identity for themselves.
Yeah, pretty cool. They actually did that in front of Oscar winner Anne Hathaway and her son, and you saw OG Anunoby, knocked into her her son was very kind of like still like, wait, what? That just happened? So that was actually pretty cute to see. But yeah, so look, the Bulls with the win. And, yeah, I thought that was gonna go into. I saw the highlight, but then it kind of just clanged off the rim. So look, you take the breaks if you're the Bulls. So look, you get out there with the win. That's all you can ask for now. Going to the Thursday games, so Utah was a mild upset. They beat Dallas 115-113. John Collins had 28 points. Luka 37 to lose an effort. So Utah's been playing pretty well without Lowry. So we'll see if they can keep it up. Now going to the rest of Wednesday's games. The Kings beat the Suns. You can tell the Suns are missing KD. 127-104. So De'Aaron Fox had 29 points, a season high for him so far. Portland beat Minnesota by 4. Shaedon Sharp had 33, with easily a career high for him. Minnesota struggling a little bit, but I think they'll figure things out. I think they'll be right there. So I think they're still trying to figure things out with Julius Randle and playing together. The Lakers with a nice win over the Grizzlies, 35 points for Mr. LeBron James, and he said afterwards post game that kind of say that this is going to be his last season. He said it like for the last 2 years, so I wouldn't put a lot of stock on it, but he's going to be 40 this year, so you got to think that maybe this might be different. I don't know, but look, I'm sure he's going to I'm sure, JJ Redd knows he's probably going to have to take some games off, a little bit after New Year, but, we'll see.
Yeah, and scale his minutes back too, because as we said, going into the season, you want LeBron James to pick his spots to take over the games, but if he has to be on full go from the first to the fourth quarter, playing extended minutes, especially at this early start of the season, there's going to be problems. As we said time and time again, Anthony Davis, this is your team. Take it over. I know he returned the other night from getting poked in the eye from over the weekend, but this is Anthony Davis' time in the fourth quarter to take over. Other guys need to step up. Rookie out of Tennessee, Dalton Connect, stepped up, had a career high in points and 3-pointers. He was 5-5 from downtown. And you got to have D'Angelo Russell. I'm not going to talk about his hairstyle. That's besides the point. But you got to have guys like him step up as well. And so for the Lakers, LeBron, AD they both had to be healthy to set the tone. But some of the other guys like Austin Reeves and Dalton Connect and D'Angelo Russell, those role players got to step in and do their part as well.
Yeah, I told you that could be a nice little pick for the Lakers. So far, he has. And I know LeBron was in all of him at the post game. So that's pretty good if you got LeBron in all of you as a rookie. And I'm sure he's going to take that with a lot of pride. Victor Wembanyama had 50 as the Spurs beat the Wizards. We also want to give a speedy recovery to Greg Popovich, who suffered a stroke earlier this month. He's going to be out for a while. So think about your Coach Pop, and I know he's going to be back to his old self very soon. So shout out to him. Best wishes and a speedy recovery to him. 59 points, which is not even a career high, for Giannis, as the Bucks needed overtime, but they beat the Pistons. They got a much needed win, 127-120. The Rockets beat the Clippers 111-103 as Jalen Green had 21 points. Houston's look, we said that Houston could be one of those up and coming teams, and so far they've played like it.
Yeah, we talk about the head coach, Ime Udoka. Of course, he led the Boston Celtics team to the finals a couple of years ago before he got the unceremoniously axed. We won't get into that. But you mentioned with all that talent that they have, don't forget they have veteran point guard Fred VanVleet, the state of Illinois' very own, via Rockford. He's in his second year in that contract with Houston now. I know he was injured off and on last year, but he's one of those guys that can help bring those young guys along. And so Houston, as we said last year, we saw them, especially those games against the Bulls. You don't want to take them lightly because they could come up and beat you and bite you in the butt. So Houston, I think they were 1 and 2 games out of the play-in tournament last year. If they continue to be consistent, I think it's a realistic possibility they can be in the play-in tournament this year. They're kind of like what we talked about with the Charlotte Hornets. I know Big Dave Watson was this year, brought them up on our show as well, doing our preview show a few weeks ago. So yeah, Houston's kind of like Charlotte with a couple of lucky breaks here and there. They can make some moves. So Houston right now 8-4. It's going to be a competitive Western Conference barring any major injuries. So I think Houston's in that group with Memphis and Sacramento to a lesser extent. Maybe the Warriors fall back down to earth. We'll talk about them in a minute, but they're in that between that 7 and 10 and 11 range, Houston. And a couple of things can break their way without them having any major injuries. They'll probably stay right in that spot. Maybe jump to number 6, but I think that's unrealistic at this point. But if they kind of stay in that 7 to 10 range, they'll be right there competing for a playoff spot.
I agree 100%. The Thunder beat the Pelicans. Darius Garland had 25 as the Cavs. They'll beat the Sixers. The Sixers, yuck. Just we won't
I
lose
know Paul
another one.
George missed that game.
Yeah, yeah. So, the Celtics, no trouble with the Nets, and Orlando with a nice win against Indiana. Franz Wagner had 29. Incidentally, on Wednesday, the top scorers for that day were, of course, Giannis had 59, Wembanyama had 50, 46, of course, with to lose effort in that Knicks game, and Poole, the lose effort there for the Wizards. That's never before in NBA history that had there been one player within 55 plus points, another player within 50 plus points, another player within 45 plus points, another player within 40 plus points on the same night. So lots of scoring going on. So if you took the over in some of these matchups here, you had a nice little midweek, a little nice midweek.
You're definitely smarter than we are.
Yeah, exactly. To Tuesday's games, I think are the NBA Cup games, mind you. So I saw some of the courts there. Some were better than others. I'll leave it at that. But Portland beat Minnesota 122-108. Golden State, of course, Klay Thompson's first game back over the Bay Area. They posted a nice little video of all the times that they share, and then I think they had all his teammates, former teammates, Steph and Draymond, and the rest of that group. Something really nice. And Coach Kerr did as well. Steph, speaking of, had 37 points. He was I think it was 4 for or 6 from 3-point range in the fourth quarter as the Warriors held off the Mavs. It would have been a pretty entertaining game.
Yeah, and Klay Thompson did everything he could to keep the Mavericks in the game, but it was Steph Curry with the night gesture. He had the big three-pointer with under a minute to go to extend that lead for the Golden State, and they held on by 3. So, as we said before, as long as Steph Curry is healthy, the Warriors always will have a chance. But some of the other guys outside of Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, and Buddy Hield, who's been a nice addition to that team as well. And Kevon Looney, a veteran people don't talk about. He was there at the end of the original championship runs with the Durant and some of those other guys back in the 2018-2019 era. He's going to be key as well. So just like we talked about with the Lakers a couple moments ago, if Steph Curry's healthy, is on fire, the Warriors have a chance. But there's those other role players that are going to help glue that Warriors team together, be competitive. Now, I don't know if you saw this. Look, I was watching Inside the NBA on Tuesday after that Warriors Mavericks game, and Chuck, Kenny, and Shaq, they were talking about, can the Warriors keep up this pace for a full 82-game season? Because right now they're number 2 in the West behind OKC. And Kenny Smith, I'm just paraphrasing here, said no. I think Barkley and Shaq kind of disagree. And Kenny said, and I'm paraphrasing it, I don't think they can keep it up because there's too much to ask of them, of Steph Curry, to play all those minutes, especially early in the season. And then some of those role players, you don't know if they can keep up their part as well. And plus, let's be honest, as we talked about before, the Western Conference, barring any major injuries, is going to be tough. And so can the Warriors compete with anybody if they're all healthy? Yes, but I don't know if they can keep it up now. I think they'll hang around 5 and 6 if everything shakes out the way it's supposed to be, but I don't think they're going to end up number 2 at the end of the season. I just don't see it, but stranger things that happen. But I'm with Kenny Smith on this one. I don't think they're that good. Now, obviously, without Steph, they're nothing. But with Steph, I think they're 6th or 7th at best.
Yeah, I think it's going to be just kind of too early to make those kind of assumptions. We're not even a month in, so I think, look, they've been able to they've had some lucky breaks that they actually did well when Steph was out. So, again, Steph's probably going to have to, look, he's getting up there too in age. He's 36 now. So you got to think he's got to take a couple of games off, here and there at some point. So, yeah, I think give me till the end of let me know after Thanksgiving, then we can start making proclamations about, are the Warriors up there with OKC and Denver and Dallas and the rest of that group. I think it's a little too early to tell about that right now. But again, that's just me. Phoenix with a nice win against Utah, 31 points for Book. Milwaukee edged out, but they pulled away from Toronto. The Knicks beat Philadelphia. Orlando beat the Hornets. Detroit edged out Miami thanks to 21 points from Kate Cunningham. And Atlanta with a nice upset win over Boston. Dyson Daniels had 28 points, a career high for him. One of those games where Boston just didn't have it, and Atlanta, to their credit, they were able to pull out the upset.
Yeah, a couple of those other games you just mentioned. I'll go with the Knicks and 76ers first. The second, Philadelphia's debut for Joel Embiid. He only had 13 points in limited amount of action. Paul George played in that game as well. Both those guys did not play in the next night where they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers on the road. But I want to ask you, Lakina, about Joel Embiid. He said he wanted to play back-to-backs. Of course, Philly management said no. And of course, like I mentioned, Embiid did not play on Wednesday. Neither did Paul George. But there's been criticism throughout the NBA world of how the Sixers management has handled it. We all know that I think some shots have been unfair towards Joel Embiid as well. I know health has been an issue with them throughout his whole career. What do you think about this whole situation? Do you think Philadelphia's management is handling this in a professional manner, or do you think it's all gone to a crap hole?
Yeah, it's kind of going like all over the place. And well, the fact that the team's not playing very well either, I think that's probably what I think that whole thing's about. I think none of this would be if Philly has a better record, this wouldn't be a problem. People would say, you know what, it happens, whatever. But since it's not, and they're not playing well at the moment, now all the other stuff, all the other nonsense has been going on off the court's been kind of prevalent. So it's sort of one of those things where you're like, hope they can figure it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if they don't. So we'll see.
Oh, and also in that Heat and Pistons game, one, get well soon to Tim Hardaway Jr. I know he took a ugly fall, suffered a concussion. I know his dad, Tim Hardaway Sr., was there, helping him to the locker room. So hopefully he's okay. Number two, I love you, Eric Spoelstra, but you pulled a Chris Webber. No timeouts left. That's what your assistant coaches are for. Now, if your assistant coaches didn't know that you didn't have a timeout left, it's their fault.
You better call somebody. Yep.
Oh, boy, that's an ugly.
Yeah,
way
I saw.
You
Yeah,
definitely do not.
Yeah, I
You
saw
definitely do not want to lose a game
like,
that way.
Wait, huh? Like, wait, Spoelstra, this is not your first rodeo. I mean, you're supposed, but well, no, and like I said, I don't know if the assistants didn't know, because usually the assistants are usually the ones that are supposed to know, to keep track of that. So
exactly.
I don't know if they miscounted, or maybe somebody didn't tell him that they didn't have no timeouts left. But yeah, you hope if you're Miami, this is not one of those losses that come back to bite you in the butt, because of that. So we'll see.
Yep. And going into Monday's games, your winners were San Antonio over Sacramento. The Thunder get by the Clippers by 6. Of course, the Nets, they're one of the surprise teams in the league this year. They beat the Pelicans by 2. The Rockets blow out the Wizards by 15. Of course, the Cavs took care of the Bulls by 60 at the United Center on Monday. Now, let's go to the scheduling for this weekend's games. Of course, as you mentioned, Lakina, tonight is the other team's turn to play in the group play of the NBA Cup. Of course, the schedule looks like this tonight. Miami, speaking of the Heat, they'll travel to Indiana to take on the Pacers. Philadelphia, will they have the full squad on tap? We'll see. They'll take on the Orlando Magic. The Pistons will play the Raptors. The Wizards will play the Hawks. Good luck watching that one. The Bulls, as we mentioned, they'll take on Cleveland in Cleveland for their debut group play in the NBA Cup tournament. Of course, the Battle of New York City takes place tonight in MSGS. The Knicks will take on the Brooklyn Nets. Look for the Knicks to have a bounce-back game, especially the way they lost to Chicago the other night. The first game of that ESPN Friday night doubleheader NBA Cup style will have the Lakers and the Spurs at 6:30. Rounding out the rest of the schedule, the Clippers will face the Rockets. New Orleans will host Denver. The Suns will travel to OKC to take on the Thunder. In the second game of that ESPN Friday night NBA Cup doubleheader, we'll have the Grizzlies without Ja Morant will take on Steph Curry and the Warriors. And rounding out tonight's schedule, Minnesota at Sacramento. That game should be fun. I'll be checking that game out when I get home tonight.
Yeah, Phoenix OKC should be interesting as well. I'm a little surprised that game's not on television, but again, I digress. Going into tomorrow,
you gotta show LeBron down your throat.
Well, of course. All right. Saturday, tomorrow's games, you got Milwaukee and Charlotte, Toronto and Boston. Speaking of the Lakers, they continue their road trip at New Orleans. The NBA TV game of the week, you got the Spurs and the Mavs. That should be an interesting one there, especially That should be interesting down there in the Big D. And you got Utah and Sacramento. Utah, kind of one of those surprising teams, but Sacramento started to figure it out. Yep.
And your schedule for Sunday looks like this is a full plate, so follow me. Phoenix will visit Minnesota early on Sunday afternoon, followed by the Heat and the Pacers. The Hornets will travel to Cleveland to take on the Cavs. The Pistons and the Wizards. Denver visits Memphis. Atlanta visits Portland. The Nets and the Knicks will do battle again. I did not repeat myself. They'll do battle again at MSG. The Rockets will take on the Bulls in the early Sunday night affair at the UC. That's at 6 p.m. The Mavericks will take on the Thunder. And rounding out the Sunday night schedule, Utah will visit the Clippers at the new Intuit Dome. And that's your schedule for the NBA for this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, I'll say so. Did not repeat itself, folks. They are, the Nets and the Knicks are playing each other again for a second time.
Or the Heat and the Pacers.
Yeah, so he's not repeating themselves in those games. Yeah, they're actually playing each other again. So I thought they were done with all that weirdness scheduling, but I guess they'll limit the travel, maybe, I don't know. But that is your schedule for this weekend in the NBA.
Stay tuned for more sports and more fun. That's the Second City Sports #Football Friday edition continues with our girl, Miss Christine, the Queen Manika. You're listening to Sports Zone Chicago.
No, I don't know, though. I'm scared. I mean, you're
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 in the #Football Friday edition of Second City Sports. You're live in the living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Lakina McGee is she. Sydney Brown here that that's me. You can follow yours shooting on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow my Lakina McGee on the Twitter, X, and IG.
We have less than an hour left of this extravaganza we call a sports talk radio show as we dive into the world of college football. If you have any questions or comments for us, you can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you.
Off to the college gridiron this time. And of course, we're right here at week 12. Kind of a statement weekend, if you will, if you're into that. North Illinois, they become bowl eligible. They beat Akron 29-18.
Yay!
So they get back on track after they had a couple little hiccups earlier. East Carolina, they're continuing their break. Our buddy Twan Staley from New York Daily News, that's his alma mater. I know he's happy about that. They're about a game away from being bowl eligible as well. A couple of matchups tonight. You got the Fighting Lady Rahimis, as we call them, her North Texas Mean Green. They face the UTSA Roadrunners. Beep beep. That'll be on ESPN2 tonight. A little old big Pac-10, Pac-12 matchup. Of course, now it's in the Big Ten. You got UCLA and Washington. That's at 8:00 on the Big Fox Network, and of course the Big 12 matchup here. You got Houston and Arizona on FS1 at 9:15. Look, I know all this stuff is really confusing, so bear with us, folks. Go into tomorrow's matchups. For Saturday, you got Ohio State and Northwestern playing at Wrigley at 11 a.m. on the Big Ten Network. Do you think Northwestern has a shot, Sid?
I want to say yes, but my brain says no, so I will go with my brain and I will say no. I know Wrigley Field is going to be lit, as the kids will say. I think that game is sold out. You know how Ohio State fans travel well across the country, so you're going to see a lot of red and silver in that crowd tomorrow. I'll check it out, but I think Ohio State fans will be treating themselves to a big blowout win. And let's not forget who they have in terms of Will Howard, their star quarterback, their star wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, who's a top 5 candidate for a Heisman Trophy, but also to look out for Quinshon Judkins, their star running back. He has 6 rushing touchdowns on the year. I know Northwestern is built with their identity on defense, but the way they've been playing offensively, their defense unfortunately is going to break Ohio State. I think it's going to run up and down Wrigley Field all over them all day.
Yeah, the way the field's set up, of course, both teams are going to be side by side to each other. So I don't know if I don't know if Ryan Day and David Braun, there's no respect for each other. So I don't know if we're going to feel like a lot of eyeing each other. But we'll see if Ohio State can, we'll see if the Western can at least cover. That's going to be the big question. An old Southwest Conference matchup now in the SEC. You got Texas and Arkansas at 11 a.m. on ABC. We'll see if Texas and Arkansas, they pulled off a couple of upsets this season. So Texas, they're number 3. I mean, we'll see if they can kind of get it going there, perhaps, take care of the Razorbacks. Well, Sid, look, we know that Coach Prime's been wanting earlier games. Well, here's about as early as you can get. 11 a.m. on Fox. You got Colorado hosting Utah. Utah just gave BYU all they could handle, and I know they're probably smarter from that loss. So we'll see if Colorado can keep winning and taking care of business.
Yeah, so we mentioned on our last show on Monday, Fox noon kickoff is going to be there, so everybody's going to be hyped for the game. Utah, they're struggling this year, 4-5 overall, 1-5 in Big 12 play. Watch out for their star running back, Micah Bernard. He has only 3 rushing touchdowns on the year, but he has over 860 rushing yards, so he's got to lead that charge if Utah wants to pull out the upset. And we also said, too, in regarding to Colorado, you don't want to get complacent. Everybody's patting you on the back. Of course, you're ball eligible. With the 7-2 mark, you're trying to get to the Big 12 championship game. As we said, on paper, the road looks easy, but if you start to be complacent and think it's going to be a cakewalk, you get caught with your pants down. So Colorado, do not get complacent. Be aggressive early, and you should come out here on top. Colorado's favored by 11 points at home.
Yeah, it should be interesting. If you're Utah, you may want to use your running back to kind of keep Shedeur Sanders and that group off the field. So we'll see if they do that. Kyle Whittingham does that tomorrow morning. Clemson and Pittsburgh at 11 a.m. on ESPN. I know Pittsburgh's lost a couple in a row. They're kind of falling back to earth a little bit after starting 7-0, but we'll see if Clemson. I know they had that weird loss to Louisville, so they had a nice bounce back win last week. So we'll see how how they can keep it going. A good one here in the American. You got Tulane number 25 And they've got Navy. This will be on ESPN. Tulane's 8-2. Navy is 7-2, 5-1. Both are 5-1 in conference. So this could be for the conference. Tulane's undefeated in conference so far. So this should be an interesting game down there in Annapolis.
Yeah, watch out for Tulane star quarterback Darian Mensah. He has 16 touchdown passes on the year to 4 interceptions. Their star running back Mekhi Hughes, 13 rushing touchdowns, and that's one of the reasons why Tulane, in my opinion, is ranked at the top 25 right now in college football. And also too, Mario Williams, their star wide receiver, over 655 receiving yards on the year off of 38 catches. He also has 3 touchdown catches.
Should be a fun one down there in Annapolis. Word that some of these SEC teams are facing teams right in the middle of the season. You got the Kentucky hosting Murray State at 12:30. You got Alabama hosting Mercer at 1. Yeah, they get a little bit of give back there. Michigan State and Illinois at 1 o'clock on FS1. I'm interested to see if Illinois. I know they've had a couple rough last few weeks, but they should be able to get together against Michigan State. So it should be interesting to see what happens with that. A little ACC matchup on the CW network, Channel 9 here in Chicago. You got Syracuse and Cal at 2. So that should be an interesting one as well. Penn State facing Purdue at 2:30 on CBS. Who thought that was a good idea to put the game on there? But okay. Notre Dame hosts Virginia at 2:30 on NBC. ACC matchup here, you got one of the top teams a lot of people aren't talking about. We talked about the last couple of weeks, SMU, as they host Boston College. That should be a fun one on ESPN.
At 2:30 on the ACC network, we'll have number 19 Louisville traveling to Stanford to take on the Stanford Cardinal. Louisville is favored by 20.5. And at the same time on ABC, we'll have 4 and 5 Florida hosting number 22 LSU. You would think, Lakina, that this would be a get-right game for LSU, especially after being dominated at home last Saturday night against Alabama. Brian Kelly, the pressure is on him again, but I think Florida is going to give them some trouble. LSU is only favored by 3.5. I think LSU will win this ball game, but if they lose this, from your show, you have lost all respect going to Brian Kelly. I can't see them losing. We know that Alabama is one of the top teams in the country when they get right, but Florida's been struggling all year. If they lose to Florida, especially on the road, it's going to get ugly down there in Louisiana.
He might. Yeah, Coach Kelly might have to walk back to Baton Rouge if they lose to Florida. They'll probably live back in the office, but we'll see. I know Florida's going to want to ride behind Billy Napier. They've already, he's very tumultuous. They've already said they're going to bring him back. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. It should be interesting down there. In Gainesville, Nebraska, USC, the Big Ten matchup. I don't even know if they haven't faced each other that many times. I talk about Nebraska and USC. So that's going to be the 3 o'clock game on Fox. Baylor, West Virginia. That's going to be on ESPN2. You got a good one here in the SEC network. You got the Fighting Mike Burmers, as we call them here, the Missouri Tigers, and you got the South Carolina Gamecocks at 3:15. Hardly this is not on, on ABC or anything like that or ESPN, but I'll be watching this game on SEC Network. But they're going to be with Missouri's going to be out with a couple of their top guys, so that could be an issue as they face a really scrappy and solid South Carolina squad.
Yeah, speaking of that scrappy South Carolina squad, Raheem Sanders, who we mentioned here on the show before, the South Carolina star running back, 10 rushing touchdowns on the year, close to 700 rushing yards. And watch out for that star wide receiver, Theo Wees Jr. for Missouri, I should say, flipping to the other side. 3 receiving touchdowns on the year. We'll see if he needs to have a big game. You mentioned with those couple of injuries to that squad. But Brady Cook, even though he has 7 touchdowns to 1 interception, he has to play much better, especially on the road. Missouri wants to pull off the upset. South Carolina is favored by 14 points, which equals 2 full touchdowns for those you scored at home.
That should be interesting to see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in Columbia. A good one here in the Mountain West. You got Boise State. They're at 8-1. They traveled to San Jose State. They're 6-3. So I think Ashton Dempsey. Of course, we talked about him. One of the top running backs. I guess over 1,700 yards already and 23 touchdowns. But look, San Jose State's got a pretty solid rush defense. So if you're the Aztecs of San Jose State, you're gonna want to try to slow him down. Perhaps maybe look, you got a pretty solid running back in your own right, but it's really their receiving core that's really going to be the key here. If you're San Jose State, you want to get the air attack going and kind of keep Genty and the rest of that Boise State squad off the field.
Yeah, speaking of San Jose State, watch out for that star wide receiver, Mr. Nick Nash, 86 catches on the year, over 1,100 receiving yards and 13 receiving touchdowns. Also, for flipping back to Boise State, their star quarterback, Maddox Madsen, 18 touchdown passes to 3 interceptions. He needs to have a big game. Boise State is favored by 14 points by 2 touchdowns on the road. The over-under total is 62.5.
I think San Jose State covers. I don't know if they'll pull up the other. I think they will cover because I'm sure. Look, that place is going to be rocking down there in San Jose State. So we'll see what happens. That's gonna be on CBS Sports Network. That game, a little Big 12 action here. You got Arizona State and Kansas State. Both these teams, Arizona State, they're 7-2. Both teams are 7-2 and both 4-2 in conference play. They got an outside shot of the Big 12 conference championship game. So these two teams are pretty evenly matched. So it should be interesting to see how these two teams play tomorrow. So yeah, that's a game I'm looking forward to because I think, like I said, it's going to really depend on who can make the big play late. And both these teams can run fast. They can fast off the gate, off the zone. So it should be interesting down there in Manhattan, the Little Apple as they call it.
Do you think the Wildcats should be on upset alert?
Yes, I think so. Like I said, I think Sunday was a very similar, and I forgot the wide receiver's name for Arizona State. He's one that he's probably going to be one of those guys that's probably going to play on Sundays in a couple of years. But yeah, he's one of
Jordan
those guys.
Tyson.
Yeah, he might be one of those guys where that they may have to try to slow him down. So it could be one of those back and forth toss up games. So we'll see what happens there. Now going to the night games on NBC in the Big Ten, you got number 1 Oregon going to Camp Randall against Wisconsin. Do you think Luke Fickell can have his guys pull off an upset?
I hate to say it, but no. Will the crowd be hype and lit, as the kids would say? Yes, but I think Dylan Gabriel and the rest of the Oregon Ducks crew will take care of Wisconsin quite handily. I know they favored by 13.5 points on the road, but Oregon's is the play here. Watch out for Jordan James and their star wide receiver Ted Johnson as well. I expect all 3 of those guys to have big nights.
Win or lose, Camp Randall's gonna be rocking, so they'll be just fine there. One of the prime marquee games of the week, you got Tennessee and Georgia. Game day will be there. That'll be the night game on ABC. It's gonna be interesting to see. Georgia, they've kind of had a couple of hiccups. We know Tennessee, they've had their hiccups as well. I think both these teams are definitely going to want to try to kind of get right in a lot of ways. So I know Tennessee's been doing the two QB thing for the most part this season. We'll see if that comes back to bite them. Carson Beck really needs to step it up because he's been struggling. He has struggled the last few games.
We talked about Tennessee's defense being a top 5 defense, in my opinion, in college football. They display that all year long. This is their test to see if they're the best because Georgia, national championship contender, you're playing in their backyard. What a way for that program to make a statement by beating Georgia. Like we talked about during the season, even last week, Lakina, where Ole Miss smacked Georgia around. Georgia is beatable, ladies and gentlemen. Georgia is beatable. Mm-hmm. And Tennessee's defense, they need to rise up to the challenge. But on the flip side for the Volunteers, Dylan Sampson, their star running back, needs to have a big game. He has 20 rushing touchdowns on the year off 1,100 rushing yards. So he needs to have a big game. On the flip side for Georgia, we talked about Carson Beck, but Arian Smith, their star wide receiver, only 3 receiving touchdowns. He needs to step it up for Georgia as well on offense. But Georgia's favored by 9.5, but I think Tennessee covers here. I'm going to put them on the table. I think Tennessee pulls off the upset. I really do.
Wouldn't surprise me if they did. I mean, like you said, I think Ole Miss kind of, exposed some of the struggles even more, last week. So I think, you might be onto something there. So we'll see what happens. New Mexico State against Texas A&M. That's going to be on the SEC network. Wake Forest, North Carolina on the ACC network. Cincinnati and Iowa State. This would have been a nice game a couple of weeks ago if Iowa State was still undefeated, but they've lost a couple in a row. So we'll see if they can bounce back tomorrow. UAB in Memphis. Memphis is playing very well. That's going to be on ESPN too, so they get a little bit of the prime time treatment. Our girl Kayla Ayers is going to be watching this game. Wazoo, Washington State, they face New Mexico, the Lobos, on FS1 at 8:30. They perhaps maybe sneak in there. They're number 18 in the playoff standings, so we'll see if they can sneak up there in the top 12. A lot has to happen in front of them, but they might have a shot. I really like how that squad plays, so we'll see if they can do that. Kansas facing BYU at 9:15 on ESPN. Kansas actually been playing pretty well. They're actually playing like the team that we thought they were going to play earlier this season, so they're finally kind of figuring things out. It'll be a tough task in Provo against BYU, but we'll see if they can pull off the upset. And last but not least, on CBS Sports Network, wrap up their quadruple header. You got San Diego State and UNLV at 9:30.
I want to go back to the Kansas BYU game. I haven't really had the chance to watch BYU up close yet. I know I think they, as of right now, they're in a shoe-in spot for that Big 12 title game coming up in early December. They're the only undefeated team in the Big 12 at 6-0. But do you really think that Kansas could pull up the upset on the road? BYU's only a 2.5-point favorite at home.
Yeah, I think Vegas knows something that we don't. Like I said, I think Kansas have been playing better in the last few weeks. They're starting to kind of finally figure things out. Look, I'm not going to say they're going to beat them, but I think there's a reason why the point's like 2.5. I think they see something there that they might. Kansas will definitely keep it close. I don't know if they'll win, but I think they will keep it close.
For Kansas, we talk about that star running back, Devin Neal. He's having a tremendous year, over 874 rushing yards to 10 rushing touchdowns. On the flip side, for BYU, we know that they're known for their offense. Jack Retzlaff is having a big year, 18 touchdown passes and 7 interceptions. But their star wide receiver, Chase Roberts, 588 receiving yards and 4 touchdowns. So Kansas, they're going to have to limit the big plays. Can they do that for the entire game? We shall see.
And that is your schedule for this week in college football. There's a second season sports on Sports Social Chicago. Keenan McGee, Sydney Brown with you. Let's see here. Going to little college hoops for a second. Kentucky with a nice win against Duke on Tuesday. Mark Pope looks like his guys, going there, and their toughness on defense, just smothering Duke. Those near the end there. I think that's why they were able to pull off the I don't want to say upset, but I think it was a kind of a. They're both ranked, so it really you can't really call it as an upset, but I think they got the edge there. So these two might be playing each other again in March. So we'll see what happens.
I hope so. I hope so. Even though the game was a little bit long because of the commercials, and I think it was a couple of replays too. But it was a very entertaining game to watch. Of course, I had a chance to watch Cooper Flag, the projected number 1 pick in the next year's 2025 NBA draft. I didn't realize how tall he was. He's 6'9". He plays for 4 positions. He's out of New Jersey. For those of you that haven't watched him yet, but I knew that he could jump out of the gym for a guy his size. But he could definitely post up, and he can definitely create his own shot, drive the ball to the basket. He's very athletic for his size, but he's going to have to work on his defensive game, especially his one-on-one defense. But offensively, he has where he's at. But obviously, it's being developed, and he has a very good coach, John Shire, to help him do that. But offensively, I think Cooper Flag will be better as the year goes on. But I just want to see him get better defensively. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and plus, like I said, defense. Speaking of, I think the Kentucky defense definitely smothered, especially in those late, few minutes. So, yeah, there should be like I said, I'm sure they'll face each other again in March. Of course, the other game before that, Kansas held on to beat Michigan State. Bill Self becomes all-time winningest coach at Kansas. So, not their best game, but look, I mean, it's not about style points in this case. So they were able to kind of pull it out late. So nice for the Jayhawks. Northwestern had a pretty entertaining game against UIC. They were able to hold them off. So about the Wildcats. So I think they only have 1 loss so far this year. I'm talking about Northwestern. So far so good. DePaul, same thing. Chris Holtman at the helm. He's undefeated, so yeah, a nice start for some of the area teams or some of the other teams. Some of the top teams there. There's actually a big game tonight. We've got Peacock. It's Alabama and Purdue. That's good. Yeah, that's gonna be at Mackey Arena. I'm surprised it's not in a neutral site, but again, go figure. And it's not. It's gonna be on Peacock, so it's gonna be on Peacock. So sorry, folks, if I might take a peek at this game. Cincinnati with a nice start. They face Nichols. And let's see here. I mean, that's basically all the games they're on for tonight. Oh, North Carolina and American. That's gonna be on the ACC network. Marquette and Maryland on FS1. That should be a fun one. There. Northwestern, speaking of, they face Eastern Illinois. That's also gonna be on Peacock because of football commitments. So yeah. So sorry about that, folks. Iowa hosting Wazoo. That's gonna be on BTN. I actually saw a nice game last night. Arizona State edged out Grand Canyon. That was a good game. On Wednesday, that they might be facing each other again in March for the tournament. So we'll see. Ohio State and Texas A&M. That's going to be on ESPN SEC network. Arizona and Wisconsin. That's going to be on Peacock. So it just shows you how they feel about college hoops. A lot of the top games are going to be on Peacock streaming. So go figure.
Yeah, they're really trying to get those numbers up. And of course, so yours truly likes college basketball better than college football. You know, those interconference games, they usually feature in early to mid-December. I cannot wait for those matchups to pop up. Of course, that's when yours truly gets into it at that time. So, like you said, college basketball is on the way. And for those teams that they're usually in the middle, as far as the borderline trying to get into a tournament, you better stack up those wins right now and stack them up early. Because they may come and help you or bite you at the end when it comes for Selection Sunday, and that will be taking place in March, obviously.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, if you get those games early, get those wins, I think that those wins can go a long way. I know Northwestern, the women, they had a nice win against Utah last night. I know Illinois. I think the Illinois women, they had a nice win too against. I forgot which team they played. They went to the NCAA tournament last year. Talking about the team they beat, I forgot who it was. Shoot, But yeah, those teams, those games can go a long way. Speaking of, on Sunday, you get the Battle of the Patinos, New Mexico and St. John's. I might check this game out in between, right before the football games. That's going to be at 11 a.m. on FS1. So I'm sure they're going to show a lot of pictures of Richard when he was younger. But it should be an entertaining game. Look, St. John's, they're playing very well. New Mexico got that nice win against UCLA, hoping to have another win that could go a long way going into March. Speaking of.
Yeah, pressure is on Rick Pitino this year to get St. John's back into the NCAA tournament. I know they had a nice run toward the end of last year, but they came up short and failing to qualify for the tournament. But I want to ask you, Lakina, about Rick Pitino. A couple of questions. One about the women's game. I'll get to that in a second. But Rick Pitino, do you think he'll pull out that Colonel Sanders all-white suit? I thought, yeah, he said he might. He said he kind of teased a little bit that he might, bring it out, just for this occasion. So if he does, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm sure his son's gonna look at him like, "What, really, Dad? Pops, really?" But I can totally see him doing that. So, but yeah, that should be a fun game over there. For Johnson Mets, that should be, like I said, both teams are very entertaining to watch. So yeah, I think this should be a good one. Like I said, this will be right before the game. It's gonna be on at MSG, so that place is gonna be rocking. I'm sure New Mexico they travel pretty well. I'm sure they're gonna have some of their people there as well. So should be a fun one on Sunday. And a question going back to the women's college game. Do you have the USC Trojans women's schedule in front of you? The reason I asked that because, of course, Juju Watkins is the women's version of Michael Jordan right now for women's college basketball. Since USC is in the Big Ten now, do they travel to the Chicagoland area this year to face Northwestern and or the Fighting Illini?
I'm sure they do. I'll check. I got their schedule right here. I know they played tonight against Santa Clara, so I'll get their schedule up. But yeah, I mean, I know she's also going to be doing something for Apple TV Plus, I believe. I think she's going to be doing like some type of special, I think, for one of the streaming services, kind of do like behind the scenes of her off season. So I think they are kind of trying to tout her, with Caitlin Clark now with the Indiana Fever. You gotta think that maybe they're gonna want to try to tap onto another star. So. Yeah, so definitely, Juju Watkins is definitely the person to do that. So, yeah, I mean, I think they need someone to keep it their interests. Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm trying to see.
Yeah. Also, too, let's not forget about Paige Becker. She's entering, I believe, her senior year at UConn. So she's another big star that people are keeping their eyes on as well.
Okay, they do. Okay, they do play Northwestern Illinois, but it's on the. But they're on both on. But they're hosting. They're not. They don't.
Oh.
Unfortunately, yeah. I know that's a bummer. Yeah, they do not. She has not come to Illinois this year, so unfortunately, I'm looking at their schedule. Yeah, I know that's a. Cause I'm sure. Yeah, cause I'm sure they'll Champaign would have been rocking, but yeah, they play one another. They play Illinois in February, and I think they play Northwestern like just a month before. So. Yeah, that's a tough one, but yeah, they don't play each other. It's not even scheduling because of the way this, of course, there's 16 teams in the Big Ten now, so I'm sure it's like that for kind of even for the men's side as well. So yeah, but yeah, I think Juju Watkins. I think if she does well, she can probably get those big monster numbers that Caitlin Clark got. You probably say she's a little bit better than Caitlin Clark. I mean, she kind of came out of nowhere like the last couple of years. She was very highly touted. I'm talking about Juju was in high school, so you got the people following her through her career. USC hoping to kind of renew that glory days for, of course, Cheryl Miller, Cynthia Cooper, the McGee sisters. No relation, unfortunately. But yeah, I think they haven't been to the Final Four. I think like right around the time, I think Cheryl Miller's senior year. I think that was all the way back in '85. I believe they unfortunately lost to Texas, went undefeated that year. But yeah, it's been a while. So I'm hoping gonna be cheering hard for SC. But of course, UCLA, they're gonna be up there too. Of course, UConn. Of course, don't forget our buddy Don Staley, her South Carolina squad. They're gonna have something to say about that as well. So yeah, I think the women's game. I know people wonder like, with Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and all those Camila Cardoso and all those girls gone. I think the future's gonna be just fine.
All right, our girl Miss Christine the Queen Manika is due on deck with her Week 11 NFL picks. We'll give the latest standings from Lakina. We'll review last night's Thursday night football contest between the Commanders and Eagles. We'll get into the whole CHSN mess, and I had something happen to me on my phone, which it had something to do with CHSN. We'll get into that and a whole lot more. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. Christine the Queen Manika's up next. You're listening to Second City Sports #Football Friday edition right here on Sports Soul Chicago.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports. You're live and in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow my Keena McGee on the Twitter, X, and IG.
As always, in our last break of the show for the week and for today, let's not waste any time. Let's bring on our weekend girl from KXRB in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and she has another duty that she'll tell us about in just a second. It's our girl, your girl, Miss Christine the Queen Manika. Hello. They kidnapped her.
Something happened there. Something. I don't know. The signal.
Yeah, she got kidnapped.
I know. No, don't say that. Okay. Look, I'm sure here she comes. Hold on.
There it is. All right. Let's bring back Miss Christine the Queen Manika. Yay.
We got
her back.
One of those days, I guess. Hi, guys.
How you doing?
How are you?
We're doing good. We're hanging on.
All right.
Yeah, there we all are. I know you made your debut with the G League team, over there in just a second. And I know I told you about the there you go. I know you were disappointed. Yeah, there we go. I know you're a little disappointed about. Well, we'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, I got the stand. Well, you know what? Let's do this. First, let's talk about the Philly Washington game from last night. What do you guys think about that? As Philly holds off the Commanders and Saquon Barkley. If you guys heard the crowd in Philly, they were chanting "Thank you, Lions," and Saquon becomes the first player to have two 20-plus rushing TDs in a span of 20 seconds or less. He had a back-to-back, in those in the fourth quarter to kind of seal the win for the Eagles. And if you're a Giants fan, you're probably kicking yourselves right now. So you go. I'll start with you on that.
You mentioned it was a Saquon Barkley show last night. Philadelphia got off the bus running, and they stuck to that game plan. Sounds familiar, Chicago Bears? We'll get to you later. But also, too, the Eagles' defense made Jaden Daniels look human. I know the Commanders scored a touchdown late in the game last night, but the Philadelphia defense came out to play. And so Philadelphia, as I said last week, Lakina, whoever won this game is going to win the NFC East. It wouldn't shock me if the Eagles won this division, given the struggles of the Cowboys and the Giants. They stink. You lost to Carolina overseas. I think Washington is going to come down to Washington and Philadelphia. I'm giving Philadelphia the edge right now, especially after what I saw last night.
What do you think, Christine?
You know what? I only watched the highlights of the game, but I jokingly said I hope Jalen Hurts, little brother Jaden Daniels, just a tiny bit. Just because, he did that for Caleb Williams. But anyway, so I think the Eagles look great. They're flying high. Soriani is definitely looking like he's keeping his job if I was in the upper management position.
Yeah, absolutely. A really nice showing there by the Eagles. I don't know if maybe the Commanders are kind of falling back a little bit, but we'll see. So it should be interesting to see what happens there down the line. They'll have 10 games kind of stew on that loss. If you're the Cardinals, Panthers, Giants, and Bucks, they're all on bye this week, so adjust your fantasy teams accordingly. Folks, if you had Baker Mayfield, if you had the Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. and the Giants defense, make your adjustments accordingly. And as we start off, we're going to the Motor City in Detroit.
Well, what's the standings first, Lakina?
I gained a game yesterday with 91. You gained a game, and there's like a 4-game difference between the three of us, so still a lot to be decided here. So you had Christine, you had 7, Cindy had 8, so a lot of games to go here, so a little bit of movement here so far. Hopefully that's the case. But Jaguars in Detroit. I believe this game is going to be in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken, because CBS has a doubleheader this week.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, Christine, you start this one for us. I know you're fighting a cold, so I'm glad you're here with us, empowering through. So, you go first with the Jags and the Lions.
It's pretty obvious at this point. The Lions, no question about it. No analysts, no nothing.
Detroit is favored by 2 touchdowns at home, 14 points exactly for those of you scoring at home. We all know what happened with the Lions last week, overcoming 5 turnovers to beat the Houston Texans on Sunday Night Football. You would think this would be an easy game for the Lions, but if they come out strong, they should be just fine. It better not be a trap game, because if it is for Detroit, they'll be in trouble. But I'm going with Detroit.
Keep it short and sweet, Detroit. No analysts needed. I'm sure Dan Campbell will have his guys ready for this one after that tough one. But they did pull out, but it was a tough go at it with Goff's 5 interceptions. Next up, you got the Raiders and the Dolphins. Sid, you start this one for us.
Do we have to?
Yeah. Yuck.
Dolphins. Yeah, the Dolphins 3-6, the Raiders 2-7. Antonio Pierce, he may get the boot at the end of the year as the Raiders head coach now that Tom Brady is part of the ownership group. The Dolphins, okay, Tua Tagovailoa is healthy, but I don't like either of these teams, to be honest with you. But just because they're the home team, I'm going with Miami, and they are favored by 7.
I think now that Tua's kind of back in the rotation, I think he kind of looks good. I mean, obviously, the fans are a little bit weary about him, as they should, just because of his injury history. But I think right now, once they got him back, he looks pretty strong. So I'm going to go with the Dolphins on this, and because it is a home game, like you said, Sid.
Yeah, same reason for me. I'm picking Miami. This is they're at home. I guess someone's got to win this game. And like I said, Tua's actually looking good for the last few games. So since we've been back, definitely the Dolphins. Now, Rams and Patriots. Rams have to go cross country. I know they're smarting from their loss last week. The Patriots go flying high after beating the Bears. Go figure with that one. I don't know what the hell's going to go on in this game. I'll probably be wrong, and I know I probably will be. I'll say, just because they're at home, I'll say New England. But again, I just don't know.
I think the Rams should be able to put the Patriots in their place. I'm going with the Rams on this one with a road win.
Oh, it's a rematch of Super Bowl 36, and the Rams will get their leg back. I'm going with the Rams for this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if they do that, but like I said, should be I guess I don't know if it'll be interesting, but we'll see what happens there. Next up, we got the Browns and the Saints. Saints been playing pretty well lately, so Christine, you start this one for us.
Yeah, I'm picking the Saints here. I picked the Browns once, not doing that again, not falling into that trap. So I'm going with the Saints.
I'm going with Cleveland here. The Saints got their emotional win out last week, winning that first game for their new head coach. Cleveland, they usually play better on the road anyway, even though they're 1-3 away from Cleveland. It's going to be an ugly, close game. I expect the Browns to pull this one out. Cleveland is favored by 1, which means is that to pick them.
Yeah, I guess Vegas knows something there. I picked New Orleans too, I think. Yeah, but Cleveland is sort of one of those teams where you're kind of just like, oh gosh, I mean, I don't know. But then again, New Orleans, like you said, I mean, they got their emotional win out the way. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with this one. But yeah, it should be a good one, oddly enough, at the Superdome. Let's see. Oh, one of the top games. I'm gonna be watching this game on my computer. Since we're not gonna be recording the same here in Chicago. But AFC North, you got the Ravens and the Steelers. Sid, you start this one.
Oh, this is one of the better matchups of the week, especially in the early slate. It's in Pittsburgh, so those yellow terrible towels will be waving and rocking. The Ravens are 7-3. The Steelers are 7-2. As I told you on the show around this time last week, Pittsburgh would take care of Washington, and look exactly what happened. Your boy from Washington jumps off sides, Russell Wilson and crew celebrating, and the Steelers walked out of there with a 1-point victory. Now, as far as this game is concerned, we all know that the Ravens and Steelers is always physical. It's going to come down to the running game. It's going to come down to whoever can pressure the quarterback. I want to say Baltimore here, but I think just because they're the home team and I think they're on a little bit of a roll, I'm going with the Steelers. Baltimore's favored by 3 on the road.
Okay.
I'm going with the Ravens. Derrick Henry is playing some of the best football of his career. Lamar Jackson, it's his MVP to lose at this point. And you got to love Harbaugh, kind of leading the charge in all this. John Harbaugh leading the charge in all this coming together. Do they have their off games? Yes, but I think they're a lot more solid than the Steelers are right now. Their defense is great with Watt, with TJ Watt. I get that. But Derrick Henry can outrun all of them, I feel like. So I'm picking the Ravens.
I'm picking Baltimore as well. Like I said, they needed, you just said it, so they needed a guy to jump off sides to get that win against Washington. And as long as Derrick Henry's still out there and he's healthy, they're gonna wear that out. I think if you want to keep TJ Watt and that group on their toes, that defense, they're gonna have to show the run often if you're Baltimore. So the defense is I'm a little concerned with that, but hopefully they can clean it up and pull it out. But I think Baltimore has the edge on this one. Our buddy Spiro Deers will have this game, down in Nashville for CBS. Minnesota and the Titans. I know Minnesota's been a little bit off. They didn't have their best game, but they pulled it out. Only scoring 12 points. I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think Minnesota will do just such a win, but I think they're going to have a much better effort, though. So I'm saying, I'm picking Minnesota for this game.
Yeah, same here. I think Minnesota should have a way better turnout, way better numbers. Sam Darnold, I think he started to get a little bit nervous, which is why he threw as many picks as he did. But hopefully, his teammates are going to rally around him and they can get a nice win on in Tennessee. So I'm going to pick the Vikings.
I'm going with Minnesota as well. They're favored by 6 on the road.
All right. Let's see here. Next up on the docket, you got the Colts and the Jets. Sid, you start this one.
The Jets played like shit last week at Arizona. The Colts, sorry, Christine, but they benched Joe Flacco and in place of the second-year man Anthony Richardson.
I don't know decision.
I don't know if that decision is going to go over more smoothly with the rest of the team, but just because they're the home team, I'm picking the Jets, and they're favored by 4 currently.
Yep, I said Jets? ? Maybe ? So I'm sticking with the Jets because if it ain't Joe, it's no go.
Woo!
Dropping the hammer down. I also have the Jets. Like I said, I don't know what to expect from this game. This is gonna be one of those games where if you're a gambler, you probably should stay as far away from this game as possible. Steer clear, as they say. So yeah, I'm picking the Jets too. I think just because they're at home. So we'll see. Watch Anthony Richardson throw for like 300 yards and 4 TDs or something like that.
Right.
Of course, that would happen, of course, right?
Christine, they'd be that much more upset.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. The first of the 3 o'clock games, you got Atlanta going to the Mile High City against Denver. Christine, you start this one.
If it wasn't for that block kick, the Broncos would have defeated the Chiefs. And I can tell you what, Chris was very heartbroken during that. And I was rooting for the Broncos to get that win, even though I picked the Chiefs last week. But I'm picking the Broncos this week. They're back at home, and Denver's a tough city to play in.
All right.
I'm hopping on that bandwagon too. I'm going with Denver. The Falcons, they're a team that plays their games at home inside of the dome. They got to go out in the cold, and I don't think they're going to perform as well. The Broncos are currently favored by 2.
Yeah, I'm about to pick the Broncos too. Like you said, just for that reason, they're gonna, they're at home. Like you said, Christine, I know they're gonna be smarting from that blocked field goal. They should have won that game against Kansas City, but I digress. But yeah, I think Atlanta's a totally different team outside. I'm sure it's gonna be it's gonna be cold in Denver. So we'll see if they get used to playing the elements there. NFC West, I'll probably watch this game on this computer screen here. You got the Seahawks coming off a bye and the 49ers. Sid.
The 49ers are getting healthy. If you saw Christian McCaffrey last week, he was on a limited snap count. He did look good against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Despite missing 3 field goals, the 49ers got out of there alive with a 3-point win at Tampa. They're starting to get some guys back. Hopefully, George Kittle will play. He's a question mark along with Juwan Jennings. The 49ers need to get back on track. They're 6.5-point favorites at home. I'm going with San Francisco.
Going with San Francisco for this one, too. I hope Kittle plays. He had a phenomenal game last week, and even with McCaffrey back, he looked pretty good for not playing in, 9, 10 weeks, whatever it is. And the Seahawks, you just never know what you're going to get with them. So 49ers.
Yeah, DK Metcalf is supposed to return for Seattle this week, too.
Yeah, he is, but I don't know if that's going to be going to make a big difference there. So I'm picking San Francisco. I think this is a good get-right game for them. I know they found other ways to win games, so hopefully that won't be the case here on Sunday. The game of the week on CBS is going to be the lone 3:25 game on CBS. So everyone in the nation, coast to coast, will watch this matchup. You got the Chiefs and the Bills. You got to think that the luck's got to run out at some point if you're Kansas City, right? I mean, it has to. Of course, you got the block field goal and this and that. I know Dalton Kinnett's going to be. I know Keon Coleman's going to be out. Another one of the wide receivers is going to be out as well. I think one of their old linemen is out too for Buffalo. I mean, Jesus, I don't freaking know about this. I might regret this later, but I'm picking Buffalo just because I want the Chiefs to lose. I want them to lose, and I want them to lose. So this might be a close one. It'll probably be a close one. I'm picking Buffalo. What the heck?
Oh, you're not that crazy looking. I'm picking Buffalo too. And mind you, for the Chiefs, Harrison Butker, he's also out for the next 4 to 5 weeks too with an injury. So that's going to play a factor. And it's just the injuries on both of these teams. I think Kansas City has way more significant injuries to them right now than what the Bills do. Is DeAndre Hopkins an asset for the Chiefs? Absolutely. Like we saw that already within the last couple of weeks. But Mahomes is just not looking. He does these weird movements that work and they're magical, but he's been doing a lot of mistakes too, a lot of interceptions, a lot of just bad throws and play calling mistakes. Something's got to break in the cracks eventually. I think this is the game that's going to do it. I'm picking Buffalo.
Memo to Bills head coach Sean McDermott: run the football with James Cook. If you could do that and establish your point of attack and control the line of scrimmage, you will win. I'm not going to bring up last year's playoff loss, which was ugly for Buffalo. They had that game right there, but this is a brand new team, a brand new year. You're at home. This is the time to get the Chiefs. You may see them again in the playoffs, but if you do see this team later on in the playoffs, what a way to send the Chiefs home with their first loss of the year. So Buffalo, run the football, take the pressure off of Josh Allen. If you do that, you'll win the game. I'm going with Buffalo. They're currently favored by 2.
All right, you heard the man, Coach McDermott. We'll see if Sean McDermott listens. The Sunday nighter, you got to go to the Chargers. You got the Bengals and the Chargers. T. Higgins, was cleared to start, so we'll see if he's good to go this week. This is kind of like Cincinnati's last stand, if you will. They're 4-6 right now. They got to win this game. They want to stay, have a shot at a playoff spot. The Chargers, they've been playing very well lately. J.K. Dobbins has been really solid. Justin Herbert's been really good. You probably could say if it weren't for Lamar Jackson, he'd be right there in the MVP consideration. The defense is really good. I know they're going to want to try to make mincemeat out of your boy, Joe Burrow, Christine.
Money!
Again, yeah, and of course, they're at home. More because of that, I'm picking the Chargers.
I'm picking the Chargers as well. I loved that video last week of Jim Harbaugh just saying, "That's my beast, that's my guy, my quarterback," and just got so excited around this kid, around Justin Herbert. I think that's awesome. I think it shows a lot of passion that he has, and we always knew that for Jim Harbaugh. We always knew that he had that passion, but it's great to see it back on the big stage in the NFL. And I do think that they are going to pull out the win over Joe Money. It's just not their year, the Bengals. I feel like was too much going on in the offseason between contracts and injuries, and the list just goes on. It's just not going to happen for them this year. So I think the Chargers will get the win.
If it wasn't for the Bengals record, Joe Burrow would be up there with Lamar Jackson of Baltimore
Yeah.
for MVP. Check out these numbers. For
True.
Joe Money, 24 touchdown passes and 4
Mhm.
interceptions. That's not bad, but that Bengals defense has been up and down all year. But it comes down to who has the better talent on the roster overall. I think the Bengals have it all just slightly. The Bengals have a better offensive roster than the Chargers do. I know the Chargers get it done by running the ball, play defense, but I'm going with Cincinnati here because I think they have more of the better and bigger playmakers than the Chargers do. So I'm going with Cincinnati in a slight upset on the road here. The Chargers are favored by 1.5 currently.
Yeah, so I guess Las Vegas has it as a pick 'em, so we'll see if that's the case. Now, the Monday Nighter, you got the Battle of Texas. You got Houston and Dallas, and it's going to be interesting because, Dak's gone for the year. There's a lot of turmoil. If it weren't for the Bears stuff, Dallas will probably get all the news and such. So, Cooper Rush, I know Houston's going to be smarter from their loss to Detroit despite getting 5 interceptions for their defense. This could be a good get-right game for them, and I think this will be it. I'm picking Houston mainly because Dallas just isn't very good at the moment.
Yep, Texans easy. The poor Cowboys fans. I'm sorry.
The Cowboys are 0-4 at home this year. Make it 0-5. I'm going with Houston. They're currently favored by 7.
And just for the record, folks, this game will be simulcast on ABC, ESPN2. So you get a Manning cast with Coach Belichick, also on ESPN Deportes. So you'll have many places to watch this game, which will probably end up being a laugher. Houston might end up blowing the Cowboys out. It might be over by halftime, but we'll see. You never know. But last but not least, the rivalry game in the NFC North. You got the Packers and the Bears. You got the #1 team from Fox coming in. Of course, Tom Brady. I know he's looking forward to
Tom
calling this
Brady's
game.
on the call. Oh,
Yes,
man.
he is. Yes, he is. And of course, with Kevin Burkhardt.
boy.
Yeah, of course, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Rinaldi will be a part of that crew as well. No one on the Bears roster or the current Bears roster has ever beaten Green Bay. That just shows you how significant this is. And also, too, the Bears have lost 10 in a row. And of course, Matt LaFleur is 10-0 against the Bears in his coaching career there. It looks like Montez Sweat is a game time decision. Tevin Jenkins and Amaraje they're out. Let's see. I got the injury report right here for the Bears. Donald Ray is in. He is a full participant today. So Jackson Jones. So that should help out in the O-line a little bit.
Brisker's out.
Yeah, Prisker's out. Yeah, Brisker's out, and Jenkins. Yeah, so Sid, you start this one for us. Who do you pick?
This is an easy one for me. Unfortunately, I'm going with Green Bay, even though I'm cheering hard as hell for the Bears. For what it's worth, I don't know. But we talked about it when we opened up the show, looking at previewing the game. This is going to come down to running the football for Green Bay, even though I almost said Aaron Rodgers, but Jordan Love still is dealing with that growing injury. He can still make plays down the field. And with the injuries on both sides of the ball for Chicago, I just don't see it. Maybe they'll surprise us for a minute offensively. I'm talking about the Bears, but I don't know though. This is going to sustain itself throughout the whole game. So I'm going with Green Bay here, and they're currently favored by 5.5.
The only comforting thing about this Bears-Packers game is knowing that Tom Brady will be on the call. That's going to be the most comforting part of this entire thing. I feel bad for Shane Waldron. I feel like he was the sacrificial lamb in this whole mess within the last couple of weeks, and this is Eberflus's pretty much last stand in a way, last chance for him to hold on to retain his position. I said they should have, let him go, cut the cord last year, but I digress. They don't listen to us commentators. I'm picking the Packers. And again, at least I'll be enjoying Tom Brady on the call. And my dad's here, so that'll be good. We're going to be enjoying the game together, so that'll be fun.
Love that. I think the question is, will Brady be on the verge of swearing? Because the Bears are going to do something really silly. And if he'll drop an F-bomb every once in a while, or what the F, or, So
he almost
that's
went to
really,
the Bears, too. That's the other thing. That's the other thing he revealed.
Well, yeah, I'm sure we'll talk about that on Sunday. For sure. And Packers come off the bye, and if you're Matt LaFleur, I'm sure he probably sees what's happening. And look, Josh Jacobs is going to have a nice showing there. I would say run the ball, till the cows come home. Keep Caleb and them off the field. Don't even try to go the offense. The defense for the Bears. I mean, their rush defense isn't very good. So yeah, I'm picking the Packers, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's a blowout. I really wouldn't be surprised if the Packers blow out the Bears. I really wouldn't be shocked at this point.
All right, that's our week 11 NFL picks right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakina and Christine coming at you here as we wrap up our hashtag Football Friday edition. One last thing about the Bears before we move on, Christine. What did you think about? Of course, they have a new play caller, Thomas Brown, and of course, Tyson Bagent's dad has been putting out fillers and rumors that some of the veterans wanted him to start. It's just more drama that you can stomach. And of course, Matt Eberflus has finally said in front of me, I take full responsibility for what's happened. What do you think all the continue mess went up there in Hallis Hall?
Yeah, it's about time he took some responsibility. I mean, my goodness. I don't know anything about Coach Brown, offensive coordinator Brown. I really don't have that much knowledge about him. But I feel like if he's able to get somewhat of a job done, go for it. Because in all honesty, it's that whole coaching staff's last swan song at this point of the season. So whatever he can do to get his own career off the ground, aside from the Bears, do it at this point. And with the whole, there's rumors going around that maybe people want Tyson Bagent, maybe some people on the team want Tyson Bagent to start. I don't think that's necessarily, that could be true for some people, but I don't think it's true for the majority of the team, because you got to still remember, and folks tend to forget too, just because of the caliber that Caleb Williams is, he is still a rookie. Yes, he has a solid base, as opposed to any other quarterbacks that have been in the Bears, history for the last couple of years. Trubisky, Justin Fields, he's got that solid base. The key is now to not have him, digress from anything that he's learned already, because he's already a more elusive quarterback than what we saw with Trubisky or what we saw with Fields. And he can read the field better than any other of the quarterbacks. He can read the defenses. He just needs time to adjust still a little bit more, being a rookie, and he needs better offensive line too. That's the other part of the situation.
And I think you can, especially with Jenkins being out, I think that's going to be a day for the Bears. And if you're the Packers, you're definitely rubbing your hands. So we'll see what happens in that game. As long as there's not a blowout, I guess that'll be a moral victory. I guess if you're a Bears fan, we shall see. This is Second City Sports on Sports Chicago. Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown, KXRB'S Christine Manika join us for our usual Sunday tilt there. The MLB awards were announced. Well, the all MLB team were announced. Well, congrats to White Sox pitcher Garrett Crochet. He wins AL Comeback Player of the Year. Of course, former Sox pitcher, now Braves pitcher Chris Sale won on the NL side. So that was really cool. Among some of the players on the all MLB team, Shota Imanaga was named all MLB, of course. Aaron Judge and Mookie Betts, among others, in the first and second teams. The Go Cubs go from Shota. That was top notch, I gotta say. So that was really cool. But the MLB awards will be announced next week. So I want to get this going here real quick. We'll start with Rook of the Year on the AL side. You got Colton Krauser from the Orioles. You got Lucas Gill from the Yankees and Austin Wells also from the Yankees. So who wins that award?
Krauser.
Yeah, I agree. I think Krauser as well. I think Luis, kind of stepped back a little bit. So yeah, I think Krauser should win that one. Now on the NL side, some interesting names here. You got Jackson Carrillo from the Brewers, Jackson Morrell for the Padres, or Paul Skeens for the Pirates. Who wins NL Jackie Robinson Rookie of the Year?
The Padres guy. I can't remember all the names. But you said Morrell.
Morrell, yeah. Sid?
I'll say Paul Skeens from Pittsburgh.
I think Jackson Morwell too. I think because he did it on a consistent basis. I mean, you only saw Skeens do like every few games, so I'm sure it'll be between those two, but it's going to be a close one. Now, manager of the year for the AL, AJ Hinch from the Tigers, Matt Quantrill from the Royals, or Stephen Voigt for the Guardians. Who wins that one?
Well, AJ, he should have been the White Sox manager, but we digress.
Right.
But I think it's going to be Stephen Voigt of the Guardians.
Ah, gosh, I think AJ Hinch, just for the fact that they came out of nowhere. They had that big record after the All-Star break. Came out of nowhere, got all the way to the wild card. I think Hinch. But if Voigt wins, I would be surprised. It's going to be someone from the AL Central, that's for sure. All three of these guys. So it's going to be somebody from that division. We'll see if one of us can join that list in a couple of years. On the NL side, you got Carlos Mendoza from the Mets, Pat Murphy for the Brewers, and Mike Schilt from the Padres. I think I'm gonna pick Pat Murphy. I think for the Brewers. That's my pick for NL.
I would go with Pat Murphy too.
Yeah, let's make it a clean sweep. Pat Murphy. No one expected what the Brewers did this year.
Absolutely. Now, Cy Young time. We'll do the AL first. You got Emmanuel Clace from the Guardians. You got Seth Lugo for the Royals and Tariq Skubal for the Tigers. I think we're gonna go. I don't want to speak for you guys, but I think we're picking Skubal. I think we're picking him.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That was easy. On the NL side, it could be a little bit different. Chris Sale from the Braves, Paul Skeens. I'm a little surprised. Zach Wheeler for the Phillies. I'm picking Zach Wheeler.
I'll go with Zach Wheeler too.
Yeah, let's make it a clean sweep. Wheeler.
All right, now this is where it gets interesting. And MVPs on the AL first, you got Judge, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, of course, for the Royals, and Bobby Witt Jr. for the Royals. I mean, the Yankees, both Soto and Judge for the Yankees. Of course, you got Bobby Witt Jr. from the Royals. So this is gonna be a close one. So who do you guys think wins this one?
After his World Series performance, I don't think it would be Judge. It would be Soto.
Aaron Judge for me. This is the first time he's been healthy in about 2 seasons, so I'll go with Aaron Judge.
Gosh, I'll pick Soto too. But remember, this is a regular season award, so I don't think the postseason really means much. But we'll see. But yeah, But look, I know some people say that could they split the vote past? They'll probably sneak in there and win it, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I think it's going to be one of the Yankees guys, either Judge or Soto. Yeah. Now the NL, you got Francisco Lindor from the Mets. You got Ketel Marte from the Diamondbacks, or Shota Imanaga for the Dodgers. I think we're going to have one of the few guys that's going to win for both the AL and the NL. So I'll pick a Shota.
Shota.
Yeah, give me Ohtani.
All right. And those awards will be handed out within the next few weeks on MLB Network. So yeah, I think starting on Monday and then through Thursday, I think the MVPs will be announced on next Thursday, of course, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday will be the Rookie of the Year awards, the manager, the Cy Young, and the MVP. So yeah, you catch all that action for the awards on MLB Network.
Right. Last topic here on Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago City. Lakina and Christine hang out here with you. The new Chicago Sports Network has released their app starting today. And yours truly, unfortunately, cannot get in on Xfinity or Comcast. And I cannot get the app because it's not available on Google Play. Go to that website. I was having trouble trying to access it. But if you are able to access the app in the Chicagoland area, I think we broke down the prices before. It's $19.99 a month for if you want to watch a single team, whether it's the Bulls, Blackhawks, or White Sox. You'll pay $19.99 a month if you want to watch one of those 3 teams, or you can pay $29.99 a month, which is $30 a month for each month, which totals to $360 for the entire year to access all 3 teams, including their daily programming. Christine, what are your thoughts about this? Do you think that fans are going to jump on it? Because I don't think so. Obviously you'll get some fans, but I don't think it's going to be an overwhelming demand because all 3 teams are in the rebuild right now.
Yeah, right. And you're going to probably get a couple of them buying in for one team, but not for the whole package right now.
And I think incidentally, of course, shout out to Jeff Agris from the Sun Times, who had this nice little tidbit here about some of the other teams that are offering similar direct to consumers. You got Altitude Plus, that's featuring the Avalanche and the Nuggets. That's $19.95 a month, which it makes sense to pay that since both teams have won championships in recent years. Monumental, that's in DC. That's for the Capitals, the Washington Mystics, and the Wizards. That's $19.95 a month as well. And you got the Gotham package that's $42. But here's the thing: you're basically getting New York teams. You got hold on, let me get. You got the Yankees, the Nets on the yes side. You got and the Knicks. Then you've got the Islanders, the Rangers, the Devils, and the Sabres. So you're basically getting all the major NHL and NBA teams. So yeah, it makes sense for them to charge that much. So as far as it's concerned, like you said, Sid, I mean, all three of these teams are in rebuild mode. So I don't think people are gonna be shelling out $30 a month, for all three teams. Not even like for one team. And so it's sort of like it's kind of clunky how all this has been, going down. It's just unfortunate that. I'm hoping that they're gonna have to make these games access on YouTube on the YouTube channel at some point, because no one's gonna pay no $30 a month for all three teams. It's not happening. I think I said like a couple. I think I said last week when we had the same conversation. What three of us had the same conversation.
Yeah, bust out the antenna. You have to pay $20 to $30 for it at Menards. Just saying. That's the only way you're gonna get it for free.
Good Lord. All right. All right. Anything else before we disperse?
Oh, Christine, real quick. Prediction tomorrow: Notre Dame will host Virginia in college
Notre
football.
Dame.
Okay.
Notre Dame, yeah. They're 5-4, Virginia. Come on, is that even a question?
Woo! Mic drop.
Okay. All right. Yeah, well, yeah, the mic drop moment here. So yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see. Yeah, I think Virginia will give them a game, but I think Notre Dame is just too good. So we'll see what happens in that game tomorrow. Now, with that said, you can follow my Kingdom Game on the Twitter, XKRB'S and the IG.
You can follow your truly Sydney Brown on the Twitter, X and the IG at CK80. Once again, it's CK80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80. Christine, where can the lovely people follow you on social media?
They can follow me at @CManika_KXRB.
All right. Now, real quick, though, of course, we forgot to mention this. Bronny James, of course, is down there in the G League for the Lakers right now. They've come out and said that he's not going to play any of the road games for the G League. So, unfortunately for you, Christine, he won't be coming out to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I know you guys.
I know. Gosh, I know.
Yeah, definitely a missed opportunity there, because you could get a lot of people to go to those games. So,
and it's just going to hinder his career too. I don't know who's controlling his career, but whoever it is controlling his career, it's not helping him. It's only hurting him in the future, unfortunately.
Yeah, I blame NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, whoever's in charge of the G League, and of course I blame LeBron James, his daddy, as well. So all three of them get an equal share to blame, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's such a bummer too. I know you and your dad really wanted to see Bronny and Chris to see Bronny in March. So it looks like that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Although you never know, it could, a lot could change too. Hopefully, maybe after the first year, maybe that'll change. So at least for right now, he's not going to be going to any of the G League road games. Of course, you get Second City Sports every Monday, every Friday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. One more time, as I always say, catch Second City Sports every Monday and Friday, 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports on Chicago's Facebook and YouTube channels.
Don't forget to follow Sports on Chicago on all social media platforms. Download that Sports on Chicago app. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are located on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're at it, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
All right, Lakina closes out.
All right, enjoy all the great games that are coming up this week. We all talked about it, college football, college hoops, NBA, NHL, so much more. And of course, stay safe out there, folks, and be good to each other. For Sid and Christine, I'm Lakina. This has been Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. And have a great weekend, guys. We'll see you guys next week.
Bear down. Holla.
Literally.
Yay.